What's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. So the Ramonas are getting really desperate right now. We have the businesswoman Gina Miller claiming she will launch an immediate legal challenge to stop Boris Johnson proroguing Parliament to push a no-deal Brexit through. This is following on from John Major's interview last week saying he would seek a judicial review if Boris tried to prorogue Parliament. Gina intends to use the same legal team who forced Theresa May to trigger Article 50. A few media outlets are reporting on this, but we will check the ever-impartial Guardian's article about it. But first, we have to hear from Gina herself, talking about her letter demanding Boris Johnson tell her a week in advance of him going to the Queen to prorogue Parliament, which is just astonishing if you ask me.
We request that you undertake not to advise Her Majesty the Queen, should you become Prime Minister, to prorogue Parliament without first providing 7 days' notice to our client. Don't go and see the Queen if you are Prime Minister and prorogue Parliament. I mean, there will be people watching this morning going, who on earth do you think you are, writing a letter like that to the man who most likely will be the next Prime Minister?
Well, each of us in a democracy, each of us have the right as a citizen to exercise our power, our legitimate questions of the courts. And that's what I did the first time.
It's quite something to write a letter to a former Foreign Secretary and tell him, you know, if you become Prime Minister, you know, advise our client a week in advance if you're going to go and see the Queen.
Well, paying lip service to parliamentary democracy is one thing, but you actually have to actively defend it. And that's what this case and my legal team and I would be doing, is actively defending parliamentary sovereignty, because, as I said, it is the cornerstone of our constitution. And to abuse that, nobody is above the law. You can be a prime minister, you can be, whatever your position, I would argue, that no one is above the law.
I mean, the one thing that you're not, of course, is an elected representative.
Yeah.
Have you been speaking to, I mean, amongst others, Sir John Major, obviously up in the upper house now, but have you been speaking to John Major? Have you been speaking to any Conservative MPs?
No, I've had no conversation.
Well, that was absolutely ridiculous, and the interviewer pointed out that she does not have a leg to stand on demanding Boris tell her anything. What a delusional shitweasel this woman really is. Now, let's check out the Guardian's take on it quickly. The article headlines, "I'll take you to court to block a no-deal Brexit," Gina Miller tells Boris Johnson. Activist is reassembling team of top barristers to stop Parliament being shut down to push through Brexit against wishes of MPs. But what about the wishes of the public? Do they not matter? The campaigner and businesswoman Gina Miller will launch immediate legal action to prevent Boris Johnson from shutting down Parliament in order to drive through a no-deal Brexit, against the wishes of MPs, the Observer can reveal. Miller's lawyers, Mish Condi have written to the likely next Prime Minister saying that such a move would not only be constitutionally unacceptable, but also unlawful, and would lead them to mount an urgent challenge in the courts. Now, we actually know she's actually said that she wants him to tell her a week in advance, so it's not immediate. It's like, please warn me so I can try and put this nonsense together. Miller has assembled the same legal team, including the QC's David Pannock and Tom Hickman. They successfully forced Theresa May in early 2017 to grant MPs a vote before triggering Article 50, the process that set the clock ticking on the UK's exit from the EU. Her latest move will add to the drama as the country faces political and economic uncertainty with the approach of the latest Brexit deadline, the 31st of October. In a letter sent to Johnson, seen by the Observer, the team at Mish Condi made clear that prorogation of Parliament, something Johnson has repeatedly refused to rule out, would involve the use of prerogative powers, which courts would seek to limit. Such powers cannot be exercised in a manner which is contrary to fundamental constitutional principles, they say. The letter adds it would seriously undermine parliamentary sovereignty for you, as Prime Minister, to prorogue Parliament to prevent it from considering whether to legislate to prevent a no-deal Brexit. You would be closing the doors of Parliament to prevent it from legislating on the most important political issue of the day. When time is of the essence in such circumstances, it would be unlawful for you as Prime Minister to advise Her Majesty to prorogue Parliament for the purpose of preventing Parliament from considering the enactment of a law to stop the UK leaving the EU without a deal. Cross-party groups of MPs who oppose a no-deal Brexit are still hoping to find ways to block such an outcome, which could mean the UK having to apply for a further extension. And there is the Ramonin bullshit that this place loves to fucking promote. But Johnson has said that the UK must leave the EU on the 31st of October, deal or no deal. And yes, we must. It's now becoming beyond the joke. While his opponent in the Tory leadership contest,
Jeremy Hunt. I'm so sorry, Jeremy Hunt. I've never said that before in my life. It's usually men who say that.
has ruled out prorogation to prevent MPs blocking no deal. Johnson has declined to do so. Miller said that she and her legal team were absolutely ready to go to prevent what she said would be an outrageous attempt to bypass Parliament. the very institution that the Brexiteers said they want to restore power to when they campaigned to leave the EU in the June 2016 referendum. Yes, we wanted to take the power back from the EU. That's not that we want to let MPs cancel that or delay that. That's completely fucking different, you idiot. After a case brought by Miller that set a constitutional precedent and upheld parliamentary sovereignty, the Supreme Court ruled by a majority of 8 justices to 3 in January 2017 that MPs and peers must give their consent before the government could trigger Article 50 and formally initiate Brexit. Last week, the former Tory Prime Minister Sir John Major said he would be willing to go to court to seek a judicial review to stop Johnson proroguing Parliament, which is a bit fucking rich considering you did it in '97 to hide the cash for access scandal, you arsehole. I served in Parliament for over 20 years. I'm very proud to have done so, said Major. I have huge admiration for our parliamentary traditions. Yeah, like proroguing them, you used it, remember? I'm not going to stand by and see them disregarded in this fashion. It is utterly and completely the wrong way to proceed. So why was it okay for you to prorogue Parliament back in the day then? He added, let's strip away the jargon of proroguing and contemplate what this actually means. What it means is that a Prime Minister, Prime Minister Johnson presumably, because he cannot persuade Parliament to agree with his policy, will close down Parliament so that he can bypass it until his policy comes into operation. Now, nobody has done that since the Stewart era, and it didn't end well, and it shouldn't end well. Well, you did it to suit your own needs. At least this is for a democratic vote. I can't understand how this geezer's even sitting there saying this shit. You cannot and should not bypass Parliament in this fashion, and I cannot imagine how anyone could conceivably think that that is right. So, we see The Guardian are promoting John Major's words on how terrible it is for Boris Johnson to prorogue Parliament. Now, they have both conveniently forgot that John Major prorogued Parliament himself to cover up the cash for access scandal, like I said. I'm guessing John Major has gone senile in his old age and can't remember 22 years ago when he did it himself to hide the shitweasel politicians who was taking money for political favours. The media will smear someone who makes a joke or knows someone that they don't like, but when it comes to corrupt politicians that are following their correct narratives, they'll promote their words, they won't call them out, will they? I expect this Guardian fuckpig did the fact-checking of feminist frequency, so none, and does not know that John Major prorogued Parliament himself. This Ramoning spunk trumpet Gina Miller is just another Brexit derangement syndrome sufferer who can't accept the democratic vote, so we get these ridiculous articles promoting this shit. To my knowledge, there won't be anything the courts can even do about it. The Queen prorogues Parliament and she's above the courts. It's not the first time Parliament would have been prorogued, as I've already said multiple times, so there is precedent for it happening, which will go against this attempted court case, I would think. It's also being done to enact the will of the people, not for personal gain or protection. If MPs try to block the democratic vote, then why can't a Prime Minister bypass them to honour the referendum? If I was Boris, when I received her letter, I would have promptly wiped my arse with it and sent it back special delivery with a smiley face on it. Both her and John Major are a disgrace to this nation. If they don't like the way the British public voted, I hear Venezuela is nice this time of year for commie fuckpigs like them. They won't be missed, will they? So I'm going to end the video there, guys. Another day, another Ramoning shitweasel doing their best to ignore the democratic vote because they lost. It's really getting pathetic now. Now let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. Leave a like and share the video as it helps the channel a lot, and I will see you all in the next one.